Hi folks, Dave Schmidt here. It's the afternoon of Tuesday, December 1st, as I'm doing this video today. I'm going to come with you at a subject that I have not talked about in the newsletters or publicly for quite some time. I've touched on it just a little bit, but I do cover it extensively in the workshops. And it's about one predominant thing: the source of the funding of all these exchanges that we have heard and we've talked about. Now, I am not going to talk about anything of any private exchanges whatsoever. I'm going to talk about the larger picture, the global picture of what is behind all of this, the history, the development. How did we come to where we are, and what are the things that are taking place? There's one thing that is backing up all of that, and it's called the gold. I have here a little tiny gold ring that I wear on my little finger, and I have one on each finger. These carry really strong significance to me because they're a reminder of our history and our background of where we have come from. When I started this about 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, I said if there was ever going to be an RV, a GCR, an exchange, somebody was going to have to pay for it. And I have also very consistently had said the only place on this planet that has the money, who has the money to pay for that, is the Dragon family. And I said that for a number of months, and then it was July of last year I was contacted by the ambassador, and he had said, we have done a complete thorough background investigation on you. We've listened to all your radio programs, all your newsletters, because you're the only one who had been saying that consistent message. They are the only ones that have the money. And why is that? Because, see, the family is the possessor of an amount of gold that you and I can't even begin to fathom. This gold has been around for a long, long time. And it's not something that has been out there open and to the public. In fact, the family has kept it basically quiet for centuries, if not millennia, for what they have had. What is it that's so significant about gold? Well, you've heard me many, many times, and also it's on the topic, and it's on my website, the Sedona Connection. It's all about the energy. Why is it that gold, through thousands of years of history, has always been the most prized possession, the most sought-after possession, the most valuable physical item on this earth? It's really only been in the last 300 or 400 years that it's had strong significance of money. Prior to that, it had a sign of status and wealth, yes, but more than that, when you go back thousands of years into the ancient Egyptian history and the culture of there, it was about the energy. Because see, what is it that's in gold? Even in our physical world today, gold is the single strongest energy conductor that we use. In electronic connection points, if they need a really strong, solid connection, it's always gold that they use. Nothing transfers and signifies the importance of energy connection, energy conduction, energy transfer more than gold. And the ancients knew that very well. So it wasn't just gold to have it as a possession because it was a nice shiny thing, an item. It was because of the energy that was released through it. Gold has a significant energetic vibration to it. Everything in this universe, everything on this planet has vibration and frequency to it. We live in a world where everything is energy. And it was the significance of the vibration of gold. In fact, in the ancient Egypt times, they took what was called monatomic gold and they would ingest it into their body. They would take gold in its physical form. And its energy in its physical form is pretty much dormant. But then what they would do, they would take it and they would grind it up into a very, very fine powder, put it into their water or their drink, and then drink it. And it literally acted like a drug. And we've been told through many, many years, through numbers of sources, we only use somewhere maybe between 12 and 15% of the capacity of our brain. And when the ancient Egyptians would take this monatomic gold, ingest it into their body, let it get into their bloodstreams, and let it get up into their brain, literally their whole the capacity of their brain would open up. And it was almost like they would move from this 15% to about a 25 to 28%. Now today there are still people that do it, but we don't have quite the same significance. So what was different back then? During that era, all of the vibrational energy of the planet, what is called the Schumann resonance, that measures the vibration of the electromagnetic energy that vibrates around the Earth. The whole Earth was vibrating at a higher frequency. So that already aided it. Once that was at a higher frequency and then they would ingest this gold, it was like that gold would act as a drug and they would move into a whole complete different era. They were able to do things that we would only dream of. They were able to see and visualize stuff. They were able to visualize and literally float things into place. And this is interesting. And I know there's different theories about how the pyramids have been built, but personally myself, I think that's how they did it. Because see, we don't even have the technology today to build the Giza pyramids. But they did. They could do all that. They could visualize it and put it into place and literally float those huge, gigantic blocks, weighing tons each, into such precision and place through the power of the mind. That's the significance of gold. That's why gold has always been treasured for so long. Well, I'm going to share with you a book that I've shared once before. And in this, you're going to find in this book, there's the ancient Sumerian records that have talked about this gold and who was here and how this gold came about. There's an alien race called the Anunnaki. Now, before you jump to a conclusion on them, quite often they're pictured as the bad dudes. Actually, there's good Anunnaki and there's bad Anunnaki, just as there's good humans and there's bad humans. But the Anunnaki have a DNA within them that's called the longevity DNA. And again, this is all recorded in ancient Sumerian records. This isn't a bunch of woo-woo thinking or channeled messages or a bunch of crazy talk. It's all record in history. The Anunnaki could live to be 400,000 and 500,000 years old. Well, how can that be? Well, we've been told the human body is designed to last forever. The reason we don't last is because our DNA is programmed to not let us last very long. The Anunnaki came to the earth to mine the gold. They needed gold on their home planet, and they were around for a couple 100,000 years. And when they were done, they decided to leave. We're done. And at that point in time, what's recorded in the ancient Sumerian records is they received a decree from the divine creator, from God, the God of heaven, whatever you want to call him, saying that it was time for them to help the human race to advance. And it was at that point in time, because see, prior to this, us as Homo sapiens humans were pretty much dumb, ignorant slaves, serving the Anunnaki as their slaves in mining all this gold. But they were told that it was time for the humans to evolve. And ironically, that was about 13,000 years ago, half of that 26,000 year cycle that you've heard me talk about. It was around 13,000 years ago when they received this divine decree. They said it was time for the humans to advance. So the Anunnaki taught us culture, music, art, advanced agriculture, and how to live in communities with each other. And in a short period of time, that began to change the history of the earth. And when they left, they did something else. They left a lot of that gold behind. But there was one other thing that they were told to do. They were told to develop this divine royal bloodline race amongst the humans. And this royal bloodline race would rule over the humans, and they would also keep them in ignorance and in darkness about who they are, where they had come from, and what their history was until the right appointed time. And that's all recorded there in the history. And guess when that right appointed time is? It's now. And they said at that right appointed time, those who had possessed all this gold were to bring it forward. Well, who is this royal bloodline race? It's the family. It's the dragon family that I've been in touch and in contact with. Because see, the ambassador has shared this many times. They are not just Chinese. They come from royal families, bloodline families from Europe, the Middle East, from Asia, and in China. And they have a council that they select from their own family lines. And they have basically been, in essence, in ruling this planet for thousands of years. And they have lived in quiet, lived in darkness, and lived in obscurity. And it's only been in the last year and a half that they have started coming out into the open. And they also knew at that same time it would be time to release these funds unto the human race. Now that's where all this comes from. And that's the background of all this. This video this week is going to be fairly short, straight and to the point. It is the dragon family that is the possessors of gold beyond comprehension. It was over a year ago I had asked the ambassador, and I says, what's the value of all this gold? Because see, they have the various levels of the bank screens, and the value of all these assets and the gold that the family has is called on the black screens. And I says, what's the value? What's the numerical value of the black screens? And he said, start with 80 zeros. 80 zeros. And that's just a start. We can't even begin to comprehend what this value is. This gold is kept in caves and in bunkers and in various places spread through all about Asia and the South Pacific. There are keepers that are assigned to each of these locations. There are keepers of some of the accounts, the bank accounts that is collateral from some of this gold. And sometimes those are referred to as the collateral accounts. I've met personally with one of those keepers. I've had internet communication, Skype communication with another. And I've met with the Red Dragon and his other senior partner, who are two of the top elders, who basically are responsible administratively for the release of all this. And you know, I've met with the Red Dragon multiple times, been with him when he was in Hong Kong, and I've been to his home in Europe. And there's a number of other people now, around 50 or 60, that have made the trip to Hong Kong, met with the Red Dragon, and they're scheduled to meet with the ambassador very soon at his home in Europe. All this is unfolding and developing. It will happen at the right appropriate time. You and I want to think that it would be now. Of course, we would love to have it now. But there is such a divine direction and such a divine decree behind all of this. It is something that happens in divine order, at the right divine time, in the right divine manner. When I went on a trip last February to Hong Kong, the ambassador was scheduled to come, and he was going to take me into one of the locations of this gold. There were all kinds of disruptions, interruptions. He wasn't able to come. And in our last trip that I took to Hong Kong in May, he was supposed to do it again. But then it was when he was sitting right beside me, within a couple hours after he showed up, he had the heart attack. And so that disrupted the ability for him to take me in. There is one, I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures that has been shared with me. And these pictures are just a scratch of the surface of what is available. But there's one picture I get to share with you publicly, because the ambassador has shared it publicly many times and has said that I could. And this is the largest, to my understanding, it's the largest storage of gold on this planet. And it's also the most secure place on this planet. But it's also one of those things where it's kind of out in the open. Because you see, if you ever wanted to hide something, what is always the best way to hide it is what they say? Hide it out in the open. And I can tell you where it's at. It's under the airport in Hong Kong. You see, when they built this new airport in Hong Kong, it's a man-made island. They didn't build it just to be an airport. They also built it to be the most secure storage facility of the largest amount of gold in the world. You're going to see this picture. And you're going to see stacks in rows of gold bars. And that's just a smattering of what is there. Because that picture in that room is larger than a soccer field. Can you imagine larger than a soccer field, a row upon row of gold bars? And guess what? It's only one of them. There's more than one. And that is only a small percentage of everything that they have that is spread throughout all these different caves and bunkers. You know, it wasn't I think it was around Christmas time of last year when Neil Keenan said he had been into one of the bunkers and he came out with the gold, and it wasn't gold, it was copper. See, that was designed to be a dummy bunker, to make dummies out of guys like Neil Keenan who think that they were in touch with it, in so many words. These bunkers and these caves are very secure. You even walk into them without any type of permission or the proper entrance. Cyanide will immediately be released and you probably won't even make it out alive. That's just one of the things that has been described. But it's interesting is that this gold, it vibrates. It vibrates at a different vibration. And I'm going to share with you something that is my personal opinion. You see, back in the days in the Egyptians, were in touch with the vibrational frequency of the gold, and they would basically, almost in essence, become one with it. And it would release the energy of the gold into them. And I have felt for some time, this gold that was given to us as a gift and has come down as a gift to humanity is waiting to be released at the right appropriate time. And when is the right appropriate time? When there are enough of us that are in harmony and in vibration with it. It's not like we have to go find it. It will come to us. There's something about when things are in relationship with each other. There's a harmony, there's a vibration, there's a sense of oneness that is there. They always come together. It's the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, and the vibration harmony of the whole universe and how it works. That's my personal opinion. That's why for the last couple of months I've been talking about the spiritual entities, the spiritual issues of how important it is for us to raise our consciousness. There's been a number of different messages that have been coming out how important it is for us, the human race, to raise our consciousness. It doesn't mean that we all have to do it, the masses have to do it. It only has to be a very small percentage that are singularly focused. That's why I've started these community prayer sessions on Sunday nights to focus on releasing and bringing all this forward. There's something about the timing of this. I can't put a finger on it, but there's something inside of me, and I've been doing this for now almost 2.5 years. There's something inside of me that says it's just about time. It's one of those things that you intuitively feel. That's all that I can say. I'm an energy empath. I feel and sense the energy around me, the energy of others. I can feel and sense when there's a huge energetic shift and change taking place in something that I'm in harmony with or I'm focused on or that I'm working with. And it was just earlier today, I was laying down and I was in a time of meditation, and all of a sudden all this energy started firing up within my solar plexus chakra. When that happens to me, it's telling me something has happened. I've been in touch with 3 of my very, very close friends over the last week who are all very deep intuitive people. And they've been saying, Dave, we're sensing something is happening real, real soon. And there's this wonderful lady that I am a very good friend with. And she has been sensing something happening for so long, and she knows that as soon as the funds are released, it's time for her to move from where she lives. I was talking with her earlier today, and she said, Dave, I sensed something was released yesterday, and all I know, I'm hearing the Holy Spirit say, start packing. She's pulling the books off of her shelves and putting them in the boxes, getting ready to move. Now, I don't talk about this stuff very often. I have been so cautious about wanting to build a false hope, wanting to put stuff out there that isn't quite true. But there's a couple of really significant things that have happened in the last couple of days. I want to be cautious how I say this, but I want to state it as a matter of fact. Yesterday, TNT Tony was sent to prison. Now, he has a couple weeks that he gets to report on his own. He is to serve a 1 year and 1 day prison term. And I have felt for a long time that I've said that he was a man that was not upfront and totally honest with everybody. And there have been thousands of people that have been putting their energy and their hope into him. This releases a lot of that false energy around all of this happening. The false sense of it happening the way that he said it was going to happen. Another thing happened yesterday that was very significant. It was back in May, the ambassador said nothing would be released until the Chinese yuan was added to the reserve currency basket of the SDRs. That happened yesterday. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, voted to add the Chinese yuan to the world reserve currency basket. Now, technically, that does not happen until September of next year. But the issue is, it's done. It's already done. And that is something that phases in over a period of time. But from the perspective of the decision being made, it was made yesterday. Something's happening. If I can kind of be practical, something's in the air energetically. I'm sensing it. And there's development, there's taking place. All of a sudden, all I know is like this gold, these 2 rings that I wear on my fingers, have kind of been firing up all day today. It's like they're coming alive. There's something that is going on there. Energy, everything in this world is made of energy. And energy has a vibration to it. And when it's in harmony with what is like energy, things begin to develop. For everything that is going to take place in this physical world, but we all know it first starts in what is called the etheric world, the energetic world, the unseen world. And when that energy comes to the right vibrational point, it shifts and comes into the physical world. A lot of energy vibration going on. A lot of good stuff that is developing. Could this shift and change? Could it not happen right away? It is possible. Because, see, it's the free will of the human race that brings a lot of this stuff about. But I think there's been a real release of stuff in the last week that's about ready to bring this shift about. Thank you for joining me this week. I'm going to talk more about that on the radio program tomorrow night. And folks, in the end, you know what it is? It's all about the gold. It's all about the gold. Because this is the gold this is significant and symbolic of the gold that backs all these funds that we're wanting to come forward. And I'm going to show you some pictures in this video. So thank you for joining me this week, and we'll see you next week again on the Sedona Connection. Thanks a lot. Love all.